However, in the Epstein case, the U.S. attorney gave him a deal that said that we would not prosecute unnamed co-conspirators. Holy shit. Who's that? Who's unnamed co-conspirators? Unnamed co-conspirators could be 50 people. It could be 75 people. The guy who gave that sweetheart deal became the Secretary of Labor. He was at that time the U.S. attorney for Florida. He was asked, why did you give that sweetheart deal? Because the deal's ridiculous. Unnamed co-conspirators will be exempt from prosecution. And he said, I was told he belonged to intelligence. And then he had to resign because of this. There was a lot going on with Epstein, the person who, I mean, there's so much of this, but the person who sort of brought Epstein into the world of power and got him his job at, I think, Morgan Stanley, I could have that wrong, but one of those big finance companies, was William Barr's father. William Barr was the Attorney General, who was the U.S. Attorney General when Epstein was killed or died in prison, depending on your choice of reality. So there's so much there, but I won't be the first guest, Stephen, that you've had that says that it was an intelligence operation. Why the U.S. government is reluctant to be more transparent, some of it is national security, some of it is, let's imagine an ally of ours is involved in that operation. So there's a reluctance and there's a question, it's a little bit like UFOs, could the public handle it, is the question that's always asked in these cases. Meaning, could the public handle it if, for example, the UK was running an intelligence operation inside the United States to control senators and congressmen and powerful executives and powerful figures and scientists? Could we handle it? Could the US public handle it? My take personally, absolutely yes.
So you believe that he was an intelligence asset, and it sounds like you believe he was an intelligence asset potentially by a US ally.
Yes.
So who is that ally?
Israel.
You believe that Epstein was an Israel intelligence asset?
Yes, I do. And Ghislaine Maxwell, just for additional background, but everybody can find it, her father was an Israeli intelligence asset who was so revered. His funeral ceremony was held in Israel, was attended by the prime minister, by I think the last 4 or 5, by every living head of Mossad attended. And there were words used in eulogies like he did things for Israel that the world will never know about. There's a lot of good connection there and a lot of good connective tissue, some of which I've shared with you because it's public and some of which I'm not sharing. But that is indeed what I believe, yes. And not just me, by the way. You might already be there, and you've certainly had another guest sit here and former CIA guy, Kirikow, how do you say his last name?
Yeah.
Am I close to how
You're
you say
close. It's closer than I would get.
Okay, good. And he was point blank in saying Israel.
So there's no direct evidence, but what people are essentially doing is putting the pieces together to make a picture.
There is direct evidence. There's just not direct evidence I'm sharing at this moment. But there's plenty of evidence that has been public already, some of which I've shared. I mean, I could do it for 40 minutes, but everybody can just go to ChatGPT. And, if you ask ChatGPT, make the best case for, it's a good thing for viewers to remember, make the best case for ... whatever it is. If you ask, the first answer you get if you ask a straight question will always be the official narrative. I've
done exactly that, right. As you said it. I asked ChatGPT, make the best case for Epstein being an Israel spy. Here is what it said. The case that Jeffrey Epstein functioned as an Israeli intelligence asset rests on a pattern alignment rather than direct proof. He ran a sexual compromise operation resembling known intelligence compromat tradecraft?
Compromat, yeah, like it's a Russian word that means we compromise you.
Had wealth and access far beyond his formal career and operated with unusual legal protection for years. His close partnership with Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father had documented intelligence ties, fuels suspicion, as does reporting by journalists who say Epstein's activities were discussed in intelligence-adjacent circles. The cameras and the microphones hidden in his apartment and his home. How do we know they were there and why?
Well, how I know they were there is a little bit different from how everybody knows they were there. And I don't know enough about the entire history of the FBI piece, but I'll tell you a funny part of the FBI piece. When they went to execute a search warrant at that apartment after his more recent arrest, they found and even photographed a bunch of CD-ROMs or discs of some kind that were labeled, but they didn't take them. They said, we'll get a warrant and we'll be back for those. And they came back after a mere 6 days, and it was all gone. So where it is, I don't know. Does the U.S. government have it? Does somebody else have it? I just don't know the answer. But I know from very direct information regarding the island and the apartment. I don't know about New Mexico. I just don't happen to know. Another house that he owned, that there were cameras and then eventually audio. Audio was added. Oh, also testimony, by the way, pardon me, testimony from girls who worked there and visited there a lot, who said that in a small room to the right of the front door was a whole thing of videos where the recording was done.